It's gonna be a follow-up of the video I just made on videography for beginners. And this one is going to be knowing your environment. For instance, just switched my environment, right? Just switched it up. Earlier I was in the kitchen, now I'm over here on the couch. But the thing about my environment is I'm trying to keep it the same by keeping the same lighting. I moved my lighting with me, okay? So there's lighting in my apartment, but if I use the lighting in my apartment, it would look like this. This right here. This is what it would look like. Ridiculous. It would look disgusting. So get out of this lighting real quick, because blah. Perfect example. So now we're back to good lighting, back to knowing my environment, back to having the environment that I want. So let's get on into it and talk about some topics that you have to know your environment. I gotta get a drink. This tripod sucks. It's so short. Pretty cool cup. It's a lens, but it's not. It's a cup. It's not mine though. Taylor's. Stole it, using it. It's a cool cup though. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Two types of scenarios and two key factors that you need to understand to completely understand your environment. You're gonna have a controlled environment and you're gonna have an uncontrolled environment. And you have to understand lighting and then you have to understand audio. So we'll get into both of those right now. First things first, lighting. For instance, different types of lighting techniques are going to make your subject look different ways. So like a controlled environment, like I'm in right now, I have the ability to control the lighting, just like I've got my studio lighting set up exactly the way I want to, and it looks perfect to me. For instance, right above me, I have my key light, okay? It is just a ring light facing directly down on my face. Behind me, I have my little lights I turn off and on. That's just basically a decorative light. That just makes the scene look a little bit different behind me, right? And then I have all of my apartment lights turned off. So do yourself a favor, order some lights on Amazon. Practice with lighting, understand it. Get to make lighting not so complicated, okay? For instance, watch this. Right now, my lighting is set up right in front of me. And if I move it to here, I look completely different, don't I? Okay, so first I looked well lit and now I look almost more like dramatic. There's a more of a feel, I'm shadowy. I mean, you'd almost see this look kind of on movies, right? It gives you a different feel, and that's my next point. Lighting is really gonna set the tone, I would say, for your video. Another thing you can easily do, if you don't wanna go on Amazon, you don't wanna go buy all kinds of different lights, you don't have to do that. You can also just easily use a window, okay? So, and just by moving yourself, you're gonna change the different shadows on your face. You're gonna change the different lighting of your video by opening the blinds or closing the blinds, right? You want to sit in front of a window. For instance, if you had the window like this one behind me, if I had it behind me and I had it open, all it's gonna do is shine on the back of my head and I'm gonna look dark on this side. But if I were to turn and face towards the window, boom, you've got natural lighting. Your video is gonna look better because you have that natural light shining directly on your face. It's gonna make your video look better. It's gonna make you look like you know what you're doing. Light your subject, light your face, light what you want to be portrayed, light it the correct way, and it's gonna look 10 times better. Now, in an uncontrolled environment, okay? In uncontrolled, it's gonna get a little bit more difficult. In uncontrolled, you have to absolutely get to know your area before you even get there. What is the lighting scenario going to be like? I mean, for instance, one time Haley and I went and shot a quinceañera and we used a GoPro and I attached a little aftermarket bought LED light just straight to the handle of the GoPro, and then boom, I've got light right off the GoPro. So now my shots look 10 times better, because before they were just dark. You couldn't see any detail. You couldn't see what was going on in the person's face. You couldn't see anything. And if I tried to bump it up, I bumped that ISO all the way up. Now everything just looks grainy and blah. So attached a little light to the camera and boom, now when I'm close to those subjects, it looks a lot better, right? So if you're in an uncontrollable environment, you may have to bring something with you. Now, if you're outdoors, for instance, if you're outdoors and it's a sunny day, you should be perfectly fine, okay? The only thing you may want to step your game up a little bit is if you go get like a 5-in-1 reflector. Okay, those are basically, they're pretty cheap on Amazon. I think you can pick one up for like 22 bucks. So you can get one of those, and basically what that does is you can maneuver the light by reflecting it, okay? So if the sun's not coming the exact way you want on your subject's face, you can actually stand next to your subject with the reflector, bounce that light off of the reflector onto your subject, and then bam, you've just created your own lighting using the sun. You could also use it, it's a 5-in-1 because there's a diffuser. You could pull out the diffuser in it and then put that above your subject, and that's going to cut down on that harsh light from the sun. You could even use the black side and create your own shadow if you wanted. If you wanted to give them a dramatic look, but it's the middle of the day, you could put that black side right up in front of their face and then boom, darken everything from here down. You could do so many different things just with one of those. That's what I'm trying to get at, is learn your lighting, play with lighting, just play around with it, get different things, move different angles. Understand that if you have your subject facing a certain way, certain lighting is gonna make each clip look totally different. Another thing about an uncontrolled environment, for instance, right now, my studio has a certain feel, right? Okay, it feels a little bit darker, okay? And then earlier when I was filling up my cup, it felt a little bit darker. And then earlier on the couch, it felt almost a little bit lighter, right? It's okay for those feels to change. It's okay for that lighting scenario to change. For instance, like a wedding, okay? When you first start shooting a wedding, it's going to basically be light and airy, and the bride in the white pretty dress is gonna be gorgeously bright, shiny white, most likely. That's how most weddings go, right? So, and then all of a sudden there's gonna be this shift, that after party, that afterlife, okay? There's gonna be that shift. Now everybody's dancing. Now there's the first dance. Now there's the father-daughter dance, okay? Now it's dark. So now you're gonna have to dive into your camera. You're gonna have to get out those little portable lights that maybe you brought to light your subject, and you're gonna have to be a little bit more creative. It's okay for that lighting to change. You just have to be aware that different events are gonna give different feels. Now for second is your audio. The audio is huge. You've got to key in on audio and really get crisp and nice sound and audio. So there's a couple little audio tricks that you can do to make your audio sound better. For instance, just basic, okay? Without going out there, without getting a different mic. If you just want to use the internal microphone on your camera, which I don't suggest, but if you want to, you can do so. When doing so, try to reduce the background noise. That's with any microphone, but especially in an internal mic, you want to reduce the background noise. Turn the fan off in the background. Make sure you're not in an environment where there's kids talking and dogs barking and cats meowing and all of that. Confine yourself to an area that doesn't sound too echoey. Confine yourself to an area that it's just gonna focus on your voice. Now you want that typically all of the time, but especially in an internal mic, because that internal mic's basically just picking up everything around the camera. Now, to get a little bit better with that, okay, in a controlled environment like we are right here, I have a studio mic setup, okay? So basically I have a mic directly in front of my face. It is capturing directly in front of the microphone. In an internal mic, it's gotta boost the audio up to reach your voice all the way over here, and in doing so, it's capturing all the other outside audio as well. Now, if you cannot be in a controlled environment, there's other options. For instance, if you're in an uncontrolled environment, so now we're in uncontrolled. Now we're going to somebody's event. Now we're going to a venue. Now we're going somewhere that we aren't 100% familiar with. You can set up a shotgun mic. You could use a VideoMic Pro to capture audio in an event like that, okay? As long as your range isn't too far from your subject, you're gonna get good audio from a shotgun mic, for instance. Basically a shotgun mic, like the VideoMic Pro, it's gonna capture all the audio in front of the camera, okay? It's not gonna capture too much stuff behind. So that's a lot better than internal microphone, right? Because those internal microphones capture everything around it. If you don't wanna use a shotgun mic, or you can't afford a shotgun mic, the other thing you can do is use a lavalier mic. I have one. I just remember exactly where it is. So hold on. For instance, here's a lavalier mic. Right here is the adapter. It's gonna capture the audio directly around this microphone. So to set that up, you would take this microphone right here, clip this onto the subject's shirt, and then boom, you have a microphone directly underneath their face. It's gonna be capturing the audio coming right off of their mouth. This is gonna click, boom, right back into here. If it's a guy, it's perfect, it can go back in the back pocket. If it's a girl, you might have to clip it onto their dress somewhere or wherever. And then basically this is gonna transmit to your camera via the other end, which is just a Bluetooth, and that's going to get you your audio. That way you can be as far away from your subject as possible and you're still getting audio like it sounds like you're right there. Just like I'm doing here, except instead of a lavalier mic, I have a studio mic just because these are a little bit better quality. One more thing that I have not ventured into in an uncontrolled environment for audio is boom mics. So another thing that people do, big time videographers and stuff, is basically they take one of these studio mics pretty much, they put it out on a boom and they've got a person that actually holds that boom out. You've probably seen it on movies or TV or whatever. They hold that boom out over the subject and now you're getting that audio directly from them. The biggest thing on audio, just to clarify on all of it, the closer you can get the microphone to your mouth, the better the audio is gonna be. Just like when you're watching a singer or a performer, you don't see them holding their microphone out here, do you? No, it's right up next to them. So the two biggest things in knowing your environment, a recap, right? Know your lighting and know your audio, okay? Understand both of those, key in on both of them, learn it, really dive into it, and those two things are going to make your video 10 times better. I promise you, if you play with your lighting and play with your audio, it's gonna look a lot better. Know your environment, make better videos, keep learning with me. Let's go on into the future, learn more about lighting, learn more about audio. But for now, stick to the basics, have fun, play with it, take care. Peace.